Okay? The problem is people have not truly given themselves to be Christians. A lot of people are just going through the motions. So then you get to Matthew 25. Remember, Matthew 24 is going through the scenario of the tribulation period. Matthew 25, you have the parable of the virgins. 5 are saved and 5 are not saved. It tells me that the main meaning to me is only half the people that are going to church are really saved. Okay, the other half are just going through the motions. Okay, they're the ones that enter into the marriage supper of the Lamb. That's what it's about. And the others are still on the outside because they were still in the world. And when you stop to think of the whole world, look at the whole world, not just America, look at the whole world. The Christians in third world countries are the ones that, they're virtually 100% saved. And for every one of those, there's one here that probably isn't saved, and we're supposed to be a Christian nation? We're not. There's probably more Christians in Red China, communist China, right now than there are here in America.
So
it's projected.
What? Obama was right.
Yeah, he is right now. Yes.
He said we were not a Christian
No,
nation.
he said then he went on to say we never were. That's where he's wrong. Okay, we are not now, but we were. We have walked away. Like every great society, after 200 years, it starts polluting itself, or religion, or system. The Catholic Church did the same thing. Okay, they want to pollute themselves. The Church of Thyatira, we went through that in the beginning. You're now the dead church. When the Roman, hang on. When the Roman Empire fell in 476 AD, that's when the Imperial Catholic Church ended and the Roman Catholic Church started. And people have said that looking at history, somewhere between 500 and 606 is when they were officially apostate. Okay, and that's why you had what's called the Dark Ages, spiritual darkness, and we didn't come out until the Protestant Reformation. The Catholic Church says, "Oh, we're the only ones started by Jesus Christ." Well, you walked away. We are in the Bible. We're Luke 17, verse 10 and 11. The Bereans study the Scriptures daily. We are the extension. The after runners of the church. The Bereans. We study the Scriptures daily. Every one of us should be doing that.
Just to add to that, there were churches throughout history outside of the Catholic Church.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
I believe that
they were the largest, and they were the largest, and they learned how to indoctrinate the people to stay there.
Yes.
Rather than being real safe. Go ahead.
Broadway.
Yes. Yes. Not the narrow way.
Now, I have a hard time believing that the Imperial Catholic Church was ever a Christian establishment, because it's being a state church, being founded by a pagan, Constantine, who I don't believe was a Christian.
Yeah, he didn't get baptized, and they believed at that point in time he had to be baptized. He didn't get baptized until just before he died. No, you're right, he wasn't. But and I agree with you. The deal was, what?
He was a god king.
Well, yeah.
A Roman god king.
Well,
didn't they worship the emperor as a god?
Well, they did before that. Now, whether they did at that point in time, I don't know.
I understand.
The deal was that he stopped the persecution of the church so it could start growing. Okay, but then it was also lost.
But by that time, the church had grown to almost 50%, and he being a politician.
Yeah.
Because the persecution is what grew the church.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, and so. God does everything for His purposes, and it's for us to look and see what He's doing. But the Imperial Catholic Church went away. The Roman Catholic Church in no way goes all the way back to Jesus Christ. They did not exist until after the Roman Empire fell. And of course, they say, "Oh, that's revisionist history." No, it's not. They're the revisionists.
Yeah.
They're the ones that added the 7 extra books to the Old Testament. To justify their dogmas and traditions at the Council of Trent, 1545 and 1546, we did not take them out. They were added by the Catholics, and the Old Testament was canonized by the Jews because it was for them. The New Testament was canonized by the Church. It's for us. Now, at the Council of Hippo in 393, that's when the 27 books of the New Testament were canonized. Everybody knew they were the books. They just went ahead and made it official. All right, which is fine. You know, the Catholics I talk to say, well, we gave you the Bible. No, you gave us the New Testament, and praise God you did. Why don't you read it? Okay. Okay? Why don't you use it? They don't even use it. Okay? Now your question.
Okay, years ago I had corrected the bunions on one of Billy Graham's classmates from seminary. And he told me in our discussions that he would be surprised if maybe 8 to 10% of those people that supposedly came forward were real, genuine believers.
Yeah, well,
and
it's,
in the large churches, he said the same thing. He said
yeah,
you
well,
can't count on more than 8 or 10.
Emotionalism can get somebody to walk forward.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the parable of sowers, only one is a good kind.
Yeah.
If you still got a hard heart,
Yeah.
it starts to grow, but it never has any roots.
So I mean that's a big.
And they were never really saved.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're saved, you are always saved.
Yeah.
Okay? I got 60 to 70 primary verses that someday I'll make up a sermon on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And proving that there really is eternal security. All right? But then you use James 2 normally, verses 14 to 26. See, say, and show. You see I'm saved because I'm serving God. I can say I'm saved, but if I'm not doing anything, I'm really saved? No. So I show you my salvation by my works. Most people aren't even in that position in America. They aren't doing anything for God. You had an excellent question.
Talking on Billy Graham, he was propped up by Rome.
Yes.
He had
his doctoral degree came from a Roman Catholic university.
And the stadiums, when he was first getting going, the Catholic Church filled them up, and then they also had, like, when you went for the altar call, and they had the counselors.
Yeah.
They separated. If a Roman Catholic came out, they sent him off to a Roman priest who counseled.
Right. Right.
So they never got saved.
Right. Yeah. You know, and that was when he came here in what was it, '94? That he came to Cleveland, something like that.
Before my time.
Yeah.
More like 70,
what?
more like 71 or
No. The last time
69.
he came, I was in the Assemblies of God Church in Parma at that point in time. God routed me there for 7 years or 96, 97, somewhere in there. Routed me there so I would learn what charismatics were all about, and so I could teach comparative religion on what the Pentecostal churches were doing. One of the two places in town where the front people came to teach people how to talk to those that were going to come forward, even said that Roman Catholics were welcome to come and mentor people. They're mentoring them into hell. Okay, I lost all respect for Billy Graham at that point in time. And then later I heard someone got all the names of all the people who had walked forward to accept Christ at a Billy Graham crusade, and they went back and polled them. I don't know how many they did, but they did a legitimate sample to polling, and it came out only 1% were still saved. 1%, not your 4, 6, 8% that you were talking about. Only 1%. Okay. He compromised by what was it, in the 70s, he started compromising the gospel. See, he was a fire breather in the beginning. All right? But he got the fame, and the fame went to his head. He says Bill and Hillary Clinton are great people.
Yeah.
Give me a break. They're on their way to hell. Go ahead, John.
Well, you ever notice with Billy Graham, he always liked to be seen with presidents, whether they were liberal, Democrat, communists, or patriots. He liked the popularity. He liked the floodlights.
Right. Which will be, I think he's saved, but to his condemnation, he's lost a whole lot of rewards in heaven for what he's done. He wanted the rewards of the world, not the rewards of heaven. One last point. And now that he is old and he can't do this stuff anymore, that's why the world has switched to Rick Warren as being America's pastor. Look at the difference between the way Billy Graham started and what you got with Rick Warren when he started. Okay? And he's going to go down from there. He's now saying Christianity and Islam worship the same God, and he's been doing it for a number of years. We don't worship the same God. Okay, finish up.
Whatever happened to the Promise Keepers too? I thought they were going to.
Well, that was McCaffrey. Coach McCaffrey from.
Yeah, and they've done nothing.
Yeah. Well, I was at the Stand in the Gap in 1997 where there were I guesstimate 1.3 million men were there. The official number came out 1.35. Men that were there. Something happened. Something happened where it started to discredit him, and so McCaffrey left because fell on his head, and then it just kind of fell apart. But they started. He was Pentecostal, and he started creating workshops that you could do in Bible classes for the Pentecostals, and the church I was in started doing one. I still have the information at home. Okay, Pentecostalism is just feel-goodism. All right,
Yeah,
and that's where the problem is. That's the problem with Pentecostalism. They're focused on the gifts of the Spirit. Heck with God the Father and Jesus. Just give me my carpet time. Okay, that's our problem is we can be legalistic and judgmental. Look at Westboro Baptist Church in Kansas. The ones that go out to the funerals and call the gays fags and just insult them every which they can and praise God that the soldiers dead because of what America is supporting. Well, most of those soldiers happen to be Christians. Okay, they died to keep us free. They're legalistic, they're judgmental, and we want to make sure we don't do that. Okay, that's where we can have our pitfalls. Evangelicals, they can pick and choose what they want to take out of Scripture, such as women pastors. Okay, the Protestants are even farther away. They're closer to it's all it's a ritual that they're going through, and Catholicism is on. We're going from fundamental to evangelical to Pentecostal being right close to Protestants to Catholicism, and here's full-blown Satanism. Okay, that's unfortunate, and we want to draw those people over if we can. Most of pro-life is either us Baptists or the Catholics. And when they go out there, they think they're saving babies because they're praying to Mary. They're not saving babies praying to Mary. They're calling down a demon spirit that isn't the Mary of the Bible. And so we pray for them. That that you would be able to do something. That they would be able to come to you and say, "Why are you so happy?" Why when they say, "Hi, how are you?" I say, "I'm blessed. Jesus knows me." Okay, I'm blessed. I know I'm going to heaven. And that can get them too, because they don't know they can get to heaven. I say, well, gee whiz, 1 Sun 5-13 tells you, I tell you these things so you may know that you have eternal life. I know I've got eternal life. I've had Catholics tell me that they know I'm going to heaven. I say, and I will never be a Catholic. You think you might, I'm going to heaven. Do you know you're going? Oh no, I can't know. They go back to the Catholic dogmas and traditions that they can't know. I said, well, don't you think that if you know that I'm going to heaven, and you don't know you're going to heaven, that maybe there's something you need to change to maybe come closer to me, because you know I'm getting there and I will never be Catholic? I'm a Bible thumper? They still don't want to get it because they've been so brainwashed. Okay, are we going to get back to verse 11?
That was a fun tangent.
What?
That was a fun tangent.
Yes, well, tangents, as long as they're not like tangerines, okay? Let me get back to the chapter. Bible flipped. Okay. 11 to 17, I do whole subsections. In my Bible, I got a, there's no, the whole chapter is just one section, headed with Armageddon, God's wrath on the nations. So 11 to 17, we'll see how close it really goes. But the cormorant, or whatever it is, the bitter shall possess it. The owls also, and the ravens shall dwell in it. Now, a raven is a scavenger, okay? Like crows, like eagles, whatever. They're scavengers. So it's talking about eating the flesh of the people that probably died, that are dying at the battle of Armageddon. And he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stone of emptiness. And they shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there. And all his princes shall be nothing. We're talking about the world's princes here, okay? Not God's hierarchy that he's going to set up. Us as rulers and reigners with him. They shall call the okay, I did that. 13. And the thorn shall come up in her place, nestled in brambles, and the fortress thereof. And it shall be an habitation of dragons, and a court of owls. Owls can also be scavengers. Okay. Normally though they do kill, you know, at night, mice and stuff like this. They kill them themselves. But you got dragons here. You know, I'm not sure. I forgot what dragons are. You know, the modern day word for that would be, other than you know, just maybe modern day reptiles. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry in his fellow. The surge owl also shall rest there, and find for herself a resting, a place of rest.
Screech owl.
There, what?
Screech owl.
Screech owl. Okay. There shall, I see a hand go up. Okay. There shall be great owls make her nest, and lay and hatch, and gather unto her shallow. There shall be the vulture. We know vultures are scavengers. Also be gathered, every one with her mate. Seek all of you out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it has gathered them. And he shall cast the lot for them, and his hand has divided it unto them by line. They shall possess of it forever, from generation to generation shall they dwell therein. So there's going to be an area where the scavengers are going to be living forever, I guess. I'm not, you know, I probably should have read the commentary first before I got to this part and see what it had to say. This is kind of, you know, to me, this is a little bit beyond me. So if you got a lot of questions, I'm not sure I'd go too deep. Okay? And so don't bother.
I'm not even going to bother.
I probably lost you way early. Okay?
Yeah.
Then at the bottom of 23, you have other Battle of Armageddon verses, which I'm not going to go into. Okay?
Are you aware of what our military and what not is doing with genetic testing and modification with like chimeras, human hybrids, and
Oh, yeah.
splicing?
Well, I've heard some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I place much stock in it yet, but they're always trying to make a better military man.
Well, some are pointing things like, not to gloss over, like in 14, the wild beasts of the deserts also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. The satyr is an ancient mythological half goat, half person.
Oh, okay.
So some believe that, as Solomon said, nothing new under the sun.
Could be again.
Could be again.
Could be a repeat. Okay.
So just
Yeah.
throwing that out there for
Yeah.
consumption.
Yeah. There's, I don't profess to have complete knowledge of everything that's going on,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you guys are getting a whole lot more than you ever had before in the class. Okay. Next one is second. Christ's second coming, the Advent. This is still the battle. He's defeated him at the Battle of Armageddon. The actual second coming now occurs. He lands on the Mount of Olives, and he walks across through the valley of what's the name of that valley?
Megiddo. No,
Megiddo?
Yeah. What?
Megiddo?
no, it's Gehenna.
Well, yeah, yeah, it is called Gehenna in the Bible. He walks through the valley, and then he walks in the eastern gate of what is left of that. What is left of the Temple Mount. But then he's going to destroy it and make a fourth one.
Yeah,
Okay, because it's been defiled, because Satan had his image in there. So so the second. A lot of people say the rapture and the second coming are the same thing. Therefore, it has to be at the end, because that's when he comes back. No. His second coming is when he comes back as he left. Remember the two angels in Acts said, chapter 1, Jesus will return the same way that he left, coming down, landing on the Mount of Olives. All right? So if we go to Acts 1, Jesus has descended into heaven, and verses 9 through 11. Wait for people to get there. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts. Okay, I'm going anyway. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up. We're talking about Jesus. And a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfast towards heaven, as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel. These are going to be angels. Which also said, all you men of Galilee, why stand all of you gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you unto heaven shall also come in like manner as all of you have seen him go into heaven. Okay, so here's your prophecy about Jesus' return at the second coming at the Battle of Armageddon. And my commentary should say the same thing. Jesus taken up from the Mount of Olives into the clouds, and his apostles, there's 11 of them, watch. Remember, Judas Iscariot is gone. They have not picked Matthias yet, who never was an apostle, and God has not picked, and Jesus has not picked Saul, who became Paul in Acts chapter 9, because chapter 9 hasn't occurred yet. We're still in chapter 1. Two angels appear before him in verse 10, and in verse 11 asking why they continue to look up, saying Christ will return in the same manner. All right, now let's go back to Zechariah. Second to last book of the Old Testament. Chapter 14. Now, a lot of bouncing around. Hope everybody understands. God put things in different places all over the place. Said them in different ways. So, said the same thing in different ways. So you would have 2 or 3 witnesses in different areas, but also that the ungodly could not remove everything. For instance, Jehovah's Witnesses try to say Jesus is really Michael the Archangel, and they try to remove all the verses to say that Jesus is really God. They didn't get them all because they don't have the Holy Spirit to remove them all. Things like John 5:18 are still in there. Jesus did not consider it robbery to consider himself equal with God. To be equal with God, you got to be God. They don't, so that's a good verse to give them. Okay, so we're in Zechariah. We're going to do 14. We're going to do 3 through 9. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations as when he fought in the days of the battle. So here we have what we just went through, the Battle of Armageddon. He's going to fight against everybody. He defeats them all with a word. He doesn't have to fight. He just says, you're done. And you're done. You're gone. Next subheading. God's second advent. Changes in Palestine. Verse 4. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem, on the east side. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave to the in the midst thereof, toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half the mountain shall move toward the north, and half toward the south. What's going to happen is the Mount of Olives is going to split north to south. Okay, and go all the way to your way, all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. The water is going to flow into the Jordan and down to the Dead Sea, and that will no longer be a Dead Sea anymore. Okay, will not, it'll still probably be salt water, but not the content you have right now, where anybody in the world can float. Okay, because there's so much salt.
And that's true. I did float in it.
What?
I did float in it.
Okay. Yes, and skinny people have a harder time floating than those who have a little extra buoyancy.
That's for sure.
So verse 3, the Lord comes at Armageddon to free them. Verse 4 I just read, Christ returns to the Mount of Olives east of Jerusalem. The mountain was split in half north, half south, with a great valley in between. This is the second coming. So here's the second coming verse. We did the Battle of Armageddon verses, wiping out the world political system, and the fourth rapture occurring at the same time as that. Now we're moving on to what happens afterwards. Verse 5. And all of you shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azalea. All of you shall flee, like as you flee from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, the king of Judah. And the Lord my God shall come, and all saints with thee. So that's us. We're all coming back. You know, in heaven, it's basically just going to be God the Father. Now, I may have some angels with him. Most of the angels are probably going to come back here also. You know, as Pastor Sanders says, you know, we have 4 groups that come back. The Old Testament saints, New Testament saints, that's us. Tribulation saints and the angels. You know, I don't know how many. I don't know how many angels are going to come, how many stay. But when we go on with this, remember and notice that God the Father is not mentioned during the millennial kingdom. Jesus is the one ruling and reigning. This is another one of those proofs why for a young earth. God created the world in 6 days. And he said, and a day to God is 1,000 years. The world is around about 6,000 years, and then you don't hear about God the Father again. He's taking his next Sabbath. Okay? What are you doing for time? Oh, we got a few minutes. Okay. Verse 6. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to the Lord, not day nor night, but it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. What did I put down? A day only known to the Lord, which light during the evening. There's probably something deeper in there that I don't have in my write-up. Don't know what more to say about that. Verse 8, new subheading, the river from under the sanctuary. And it shall be in that day that living water shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea and half of them toward the hinder sea. The hinder sea is going to be the Dead Sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. So, you know, this is when it starts. There's also a river that comes out from, let me see, when is that? A river, you know, I guess it's Revelation 21. A river coming out from the throne. And we eat from the tree, 12 different fruits. People don't know whether it's 12 fruits all at the same time or one fruit one different fruit every month. We don't know. Anybody who says they know, doesn't make sense. You know, they got to try and prove it to me. Verse 9, finishing the subsection. The extent of Messiah's reign. And the Lord shall be a king over all the earth in that day. Shall there be one Lord and his name one. Jesus is ruling and reigning. Everybody knows it. We have a one world. We have a one world government that is now righteous. You know, it will last 1,000 years before Satan is released from his torment. He's going to be tormented 1,000 years in hell to tempt all the people. And it says almost all the people are going to fall and follow Satan. You know, after seeing God ruling and reigning righteously for 1,000 years, and them living through the 1,000 years, they still reject. We can't fathom that. Yeah.
So what's the point of that whole 1,000-year millennium if most of the people are going to fall anyway?
Part of it is there will be people who are on earth who will accept. Okay? We don't know how many. It doesn't tell us during that time, but normally about a third. The Bible says a third of the Gentiles are going to get saved, a third of the Jews are going to get saved. You know, the Jews is, you know, I don't remember where the Gentiles is, but the Jews is back one chapter, Zechariah 13, verses 8 and 9. It says only a third get through and get saved. 2/3 are still going to fall. God is in the process of restoring his wife. He's giving more people an opportunity. He's completing the number, to me, he's completing the number of replacements for every one of the angels that fell. God is replacing one of the fallen angels with one of us. Satan wants his complement of those that didn't fall from heaven. He's giving him the other 2/3 to spend eternity in the lake of fire in torment. Okay? God gives everybody free will. God never sends anybody to hell. Everybody sends themselves there by rejecting the Holy Spirit. The unforgivable, unpardonable sin is rejecting the Holy Spirit pointing you to Jesus and saying he's your Savior. They're rejecting it, therefore that's the unpardonable sin. got a question?
I was dwelling on that the other day about the people rejecting even after seeing them for the
Yeah.
second time, and I was just dwelling on it, and then because Lucifer turned on him, and he was like
Yeah, right.
on his right side of his throne, and then what's stopping us
Yeah.
from rejecting him
He
at
was
that time?
he was most likely the first angel made. He was one of what people call archangels. There were 3, not 4. Okay, Catholic Bible and those extra seven books. They have a fourth one.
Raphael.
Raphael, yes. Yeah, I was. Thank you. I was stumbling for the name.
I was thinking the
I knew
turtles, though.
I knew it started with L and with R and it ended with AL. And I couldn't put the letters in the middle. Raphael, yes. The Catholics have a fourth one, but 3 is God's number, not 4. Okay, 4 is the number of man. Oh no, 5 is the number of man. I forgot what 5 is the number of man. I forgot what number 4 is. I'll go back to my Bullinger book on numbers. Yes.
I thought 6 was the number of man.
Oh yeah. Yes. 6.
5 is the number of death, isn't it?
Yeah, Bullinger he wrote a book on the numbers and what they all mean, and haven't been into it for a while. You know, if you're not into something for a while, that's why you have to keep track of. That's why you have to stay in the Bible. You forget things as you go, and when you get old and senile like me, dementia comes in real quick. That's why I drink a lot of coffee. It stops the dementia. Maybe I should go to the coconut oil also. Yes.
Okay, question. When the new Jerusalem comes down, the old Jerusalem will be leveled? I mean,
No, well, the Bible does not tell us. It is going to come. The New Jerusalem is going to be 1,500 miles by 1,500 miles by 1,500 miles. Now, we don't know if that's going to be a cube or a pyramid type. Okay? But it's going to be centered over Jerusalem, the earthly Jerusalem. But you have a heavenly Jerusalem which is coming down. That's Revelation 21 after the millennial kingdom, after the white throne judgment. Okay? When you read the Revelation 20, you have Satan being bound for 1,000 years, says it 6 times, and the white people can't get that it's 1,000 years. When verses 2 through 7, 6 times, every one of the verses, it says it's 1,000 years long, and they don't get it. They think we're already in it. Well, it's been 2,000 years since Christ, so we're not in it. Okay? They think we've been in it since the Holy Spirit arrived. It was the general time period that we can relate to. It doesn't fit. Okay? Then you have everybody being judged. Every mortal person will be judged at that point in time. They're either saved or they're lost. That's the end of mortal man. Then as we have in Revelation 20 verses 11 to 15, you have the dead rising wherever they are. They're getting a body again. It says the book is open, which is the book of life, and then the books are open, which are their sins. So many, and every one of us has books of sins, not just them. Okay, we as Christians are not going to have as many books. Okay, but we're going to have books too, and they're judged out of the books because their name was not in the book, and then they're thrown alive into the lake of fire. Okay, where they're tormented forever and ever. That, hell, it says hell and the grave bring up everything. So they're getting resurrected, they get a body, and their torment is the process of dying in the lake of fire, but never accomplishing that, in torment. And they will, by the white throne judgment, they will know why their level of torment is at the level that it's at. Okay, because they're judged for every one of the sins. I personally think that God is, when we Christians witness to the ungodly, God is going to do what we would understand as a video replay through their eyes, that they will see us witnessing to each of them every time it occurred, and every response that they had at that time is going to come back in their mind, so they understand what they thought of it, and then God is going to tell them what He thinks of it. Okay, so that when they get thrown in the lake of fire, they will understand why their level of torment is at the level that it's at. Because they will understand they have to atone for all their sins because they rejected the free gift of salvation. Okay, and then the New Jerusalem comes down in Revelation 21. Okay, and that's a glorious conclusion of the Bible. All right, Revelation 21 and 22.
Will the New Jerusalem then will that be where God's throne is?
Earth becomes part of heaven, and yes, it will be in that New Jerusalem.
So where,
It's 1,500 by 1,500 by 1,500 miles.
so where we read about the river, the water flowing from the throne and the
It will
tree of
probably
life
be in,
and all
be
that.
with, well, I'd have to go back and look to see if it gives it gives a place. But it's probably the New Jerusalem. It says God's light lights the world.
Yeah.
And we won't need any sleep anymore. Okay? We will have a glorified body. We will have jobs to do for God. And we will appreciate what we have for all eternity.
Well, at that time then, even the people who, you know, were saved at the very end, they also get a glorified body. Because they,
Yes,
I believe
yes,
they
yes.
also would get.
That's why they will, yeah, at that point in time, that would have, they will get a glorified body. It's not a rapture.
No.
Because it's just going to be
a
changed on
glorified
earth and
body.
stay here.
Yeah.
Okay? But
Okay.
all the others, God's going to get rid of.
Yeah.
Okay? We are done.
Pastor, one last question.
Okay.
The white throne judgment. Now,
Yes.
each individual, including the people before the flood, will be brought up before
Yes,
Christ.
everybody who is lost will be brought up
It's going to be a
throughout
long
the
line.
whole 6,000 plus years that we've
It's
had.
going to be a long line.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
You know, I was wondering that too. I thought, well, it's going to take him eternity to do them one by
Well,
one.
well,
He could just do
but
it all
you're,
at once.
okay, you are thinking in man's terms, and man, you know, and us in the way we talk and how long it takes us to do words.
Yeah.
There's going to be thoughts popping in. You know, God can do all of them at once. He's omnipresent,
No,
You know,
but
the-
time means nothing.
and time means nothing.
So
Right?
it's not gonna
Your
seem
life-
like a long
right,
time because
right.
there's no time.
When your life flashes before your eyes,
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, yeah.
There you go.
So, see, God is omnipresent. You
That
know,
makes
so
sense.
he can do this all at once. He can do everybody who's ever lived all at once. That and different people are going to be thrown in at different times because they can have shorter lists than other people have longer lists. Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, go ahead.
I have one last question. Now, the Great White Throne Judgment. Now, the angels that fell throughout history, do they go to the Great White Throne? Or is that just for man?
It does not say the angels go. They're already condemned. They already know.
what we're judging.
And they all fell at once. With 1/3 of them fell. Well, it says 1/3 of the stars fell in Revelation 12. What was that? Verse 3 or 4, something like that. It's talking. It's referring back to Isaiah 14, verse 12 to 14, where Lucifer became Satan and he fell. Then it tells you 1/3 of the in Revelation 12. It tells you 1/3 of the angels fell with him. They're already condemned. Okay. They know. Yeah.
But I thought that we just went over that we judge the angels.
Well, we may be a part of that judgment as to what's going to happen. Okay, there's no defining complete description in the Bible of how that's really going to work.
Right.
They know they're going to wind up there. Maybe because they tempted us and got us to do things we shouldn't have done, that we have a part in the judgment before they're thrown in there. Okay? That they have their own type of white throne judgment, even though the Bible does not say anything except for 1 Corinthians